Welcome, Miracles Tribe members and Miracles Attraction Community on Facebook. I'm Teresa McGallagher here today with my partner, Carly Judd Hardy, and we are bringing you our special guest of the week, Kevin Breemer, who's going to tell you his interesting story. Carly will read an introduction so you know a little bit about him, and then he will take it away.
Welcome, Kevin. We're so happy to have you here with us, and the chance that we get to hear your story. A little bit in the way of bio information. Kevin Breemer is a spiritual health coach and mentor. He combines principles from A Course in Miracles with holistic health practices to help his clients positively transform their mental, emotional, and physical health. After practicing the teachings of A Course in Miracles in his own life, he experienced an inner healing that helped him forgive and remove years of shame, guilt, and judgment around himself and his body, resulting in a dramatic physical health improvements. And you know, Kevin, this is why I'm partnered with Teresa, because I too had that experience of doing the workbook lessons in A Course in Miracles after trying a million things and just really experiencing some dramatic results. So thank you for being here today to share with us. Then we can go ahead and share with our community just what happened when you found A Course in Miracles.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share this story, and hopefully it can help other people have a transformation similar to what I did. So before I ever found A Course in Miracles, I was one of those people who was very, very body focused. My entire identity was wrapped up in my body, how I looked, how much money I was making, the relationships I had. Essentially, everything external to me was how I defined myself as who I was. And this all began from when I was a younger kid. At a pretty young age, around 9 years old, I started to get bullied in school pretty much every day until the 11th grade. And during that time, I would get bullied for pretty much anything I was doing. It didn't really matter, but as a result, I started to put on weight because I think as a self-defense mechanism and sort of eating away the feelings, stuffing them down, and at a young age, really not knowing how to deal with any of those emotions. And so throughout my life, I continued to put on weight at a young age until I got to about the 8th grade. And during that time, I was walking through the school cafeteria one morning, and there was an older kid in the 9th grade. He came up with his friend, and he looked me in the eyes and he said to his friend, "I hate this kid because he's fat and ugly." And I'd never really realized what I was getting bullied for. But in my brain, I started to equate at that moment that, oh, okay, so if I look a certain way, that is what causes me to be treated a certain way. So by that stream of thought, I logically thought, well, okay, so if I change the way I look, it should change the way I'm treated. And so I went a few more years really contemplating this and beginning to think that, okay, I just need to change how I look, and that's going to change everything in my life. And so I ended up going through a phase for almost 10 years where my whole quest and whole existence was around get in better shape, get as fit as possible so that ultimately I could be liked by more people. And so at first it seemed to work. When I got to the 11th grade, I decided I'd had enough. It was time. I was going to lose weight. And so between the summers, between the 11th grade and grade 12, I went for it, and I started just learning about health and fitness, and I started eating way better. I was exercising way more. And between the two school years, I lost a ton of weight going into the 12th grade, came back as literally an entirely new person on the physical level. What people saw was a different guy than who had left for the summer. And so the attention towards me all started to change. And so in my brain, it's like, oh, great. Okay, sweet. So this works. I just need to be super healthy, super fit, and keep doing this no matter what, because then I will get love from everybody else. Because that was the trap I'd fallen into. I needed everyone else's love. I needed everybody else's approval and the external validation so that then I could give myself permission to start to feel love. So a classic example of looking outside of myself to try and find the love that we find inside ourselves. And so this continued throughout my 20s because what started to happen was I learned more and more about health and fitness, just not just your normal standard nutritional things and exercise things, but really getting into everything from hormones to mind body connection to anything under the sun, just how to make the body work, function more optimally. And every time I continue to see improvements in my fitness and my appearance, and I get more attention from girls and more respect from other people. And it was really a self-fulfilling prophecy in the sense like I then became so identified with my body. It was just, okay, I am this body. So I've always got to be going one step further. Otherwise, I'm going to lose this attention because generally as compliments work, people see you, they see an improvement, they give you a compliment, and it's like a yay, good for you. You'll never get that compliment again because it's, why would they? Right? Nobody really needs to toot everybody's ego. But I became very addicted to it because that was the only way I knew how to experience love, was if I wasn't getting love from others or validation and approval from others, then that meant it had to mean that I wasn't good enough. I wasn't physically good enough. So I had to keep going a step further, a step further, a step further. And the problem with this was I actually started to get very severe body dysmorphia in the sense where I was in remarkable physical shape by pretty much everyone's standards except my own, because I was always looking for what can I do better so that I get more love. And so it became just a constant attack on myself and my body, where I would wake up, I would look in the mirror, I would find what I deemed wrong with the body and immediately just attack myself. Just total egocentric, just not good enough. This body's not good enough. It's disgusting. There's a little bit of fat there. I can't believe I ate that yesterday. I should have known better. Just really ruining my whole existence. But where it really blew up on me was because I still have this idea that if I'm really in good shape and good looking, then I am worthy of love from others. And this exploded in my face because I was dating a girl at the time and she broke up with me. And then I was just completely lost because, as far as I could tell, I was pretty much as fit and thin and lean and muscular as I could possibly get at that point. And that was the only way I knew how to get love. And when she broke up with me, I suddenly realized that I was like, okay, something's wrong here. Because if this doesn't get me love, I don't know how to get it. I really have no idea how to love myself. I don't even know what love looks like. I just assumed I was completely broken at that point. Because I was like, okay, if this is it, there's no what else can I do here? And so that's where I really started to venture towards A Course in Miracles, because throughout my years, I'd done a lot of meditating. I'd read other spiritual things and been very aware that there was more to this reality, this dream, than what seemed to be there. However, I never really grasped it because I couldn't get the concept that love is not outside of ourselves. And so I don't actually know what originally caused me to purchase A Course in Miracles, because I'd actually bought it when I was dating that girl. And it was after she broke up with me where I just sat down totally lost and just picked it up and started to read it and started going through it. And this was back in 2016. And I was just going through. I didn't actually start the lessons at that point, but I was just reading the text. And for whatever reason, I just had this feeling that I need to take notes while I do this. And so I would take notes. In the first 5 or 6 chapters, I didn't find anything really jumped out at me that was really moving the needle in the way I perceive myself. And I'm talking about the Blue Book was the one I had. So when I got to the 8th chapter of the Blue Book, where it really begins to teach about the concept that we really are not this body, that the body is totally ego based and it's not who we truly are. I wrote down notes on that and it really made me start to think, because for most of my life, I've been attacking myself based on my body, telling myself that I was this body, like, okay, like too fat, not muscular enough, not ripped enough, not whatever. Like everything was an attack on myself as a person based on the body. And when I really began to consider that I am not this body, suddenly things started to shift, because I truly believed that the text was correct. I was just one of those things where it's either the text is correct or my way of thinking is correct. And it was very obvious my way of thinking was not correct, because I didn't know how to love myself. I didn't really understand anything. So I just decided right there, it's just the text is correct. This has to be correct. So if this is true, that I'm not my body, by that same train of thought, that means everything I have ever told myself about who I am based on my body image also is not true. Because if I'm not the body, every attack I have used against myself because of how the body looks, it isn't valid. It can't be me, because how can an aspect of God be too fat? Like, this was the way I reasoned through it, was spirit can't be too fat. Spirit can't be not good enough. Spirit can't be to anything that had been tied to the body. And this became something that, as I practiced it more and really began to consider this, I began just watching my thoughts to see where was I attacking myself as the body. I would always watch, because I would have these emotional dips and they would always show me that, okay, I just had a thought. This was a very ego thought. And somehow I tied myself into the body. So whether it was just eating a food where I'd make myself feel guilty suddenly, or just, oh, I didn't exercise enough. Vic, wait, that thought means that I'm still thinking on my body. And so I kept replacing it with just, I am not my body. I am free, because I'd found that part of the text just randomly ripping through it after. But so it just became one of those things. I am not this body. I am free. I am not this body. This body is not me. So I cannot be whatever I've been saying. And slowly but surely, I began to change my thought pattern. But then I also took it that step further, because I believed the Holy Spirit could use anything to bring us back to love. And so what I started to do was, instead of attacking the body, and even knowing that wasn't me, I started to offer love to the body. Not because I thought it was me, but just I recognized it as my own creation. And so I just start thanking it and blessing it and giving it love and forgiving my body for all of the things I thought it had done against me. And then this led to me then forgiving myself as well for having that perception, that thinking that I could be the body. And so slowly but surely, what ended up happening is, just by watching these thoughts, replacing them all with love, all of the guilt, all of the shame, all of the identity I had tied to the body just began to unravel. And then it was slow, 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 and then very quick. And suddenly I just knew it. It was one of those things where I just had a moment where it was just, I am not this body. Plain and simple. It cannot be me. And so then I just felt immense gratitude towards it, because I was just like, body, you've done so much for me. You've been the vehicle for me to experience what I came to experience here. And at the same time, it's also shown me when I'm off track spiritually, because I could feel my emotions through the body. I could feel where I was not in alignment with, say, the Holy Spirit's way of thinking and love and God and spirit. And so I just became so grateful for it. And as I filled it with this gratitude, everything started to change in my health, because I was already in very good shape, and physically quite healthy, but I'd had physical goals that I could never quite reach, just in terms of what I'd wanted the body to look like and all these types of things. And so it was really funny, because when I realized I'm not the body, I really stopped caring about those goals. It was just, those don't matter, because they're not me. And I'd gone after them for the ego based, this will get me approval from others. This will get me the external validation that allows me to love myself. And because I'd stopped identifying with that and I just started to begin finding ways to love myself more, independent of what the body did, and just accepted the body how it was without caring. Like, I was trying to keep it healthy for sure, but I no longer had this condition that my body needed to look a certain way before I could feel good about it. I just began to feel good about it, feel love for it. And as soon as I quit caring about those goals, they just happened. It was like I had levels of health and fitness I never actually thought were feasible. My overall energy levels skyrocketed. My connection with spirit went way further than it ever had before. And so that was the initial start to it. And then I never got much further than chapter 8 the first time, because after that I ended up moving, kind of threw my book in the moving mess, picked it up 3 years later and started going through it again. And then I started to have more profound shifts because this time I started to do the daily lessons. And so as I was going through them, I just, was doing the best I could every single day, having the ups and downs and this, I have no idea what some were talking about. Sometimes I'd be frustrated and other times it'd be like, this is the greatest thing ever. But it was around lesson 80 for me where I began to do a lot more forgiveness towards myself, towards my past and all the things I'd created. And I'd actually been going through and forgiving the bullying aspects of growing up that had initially been one of the causes for weight gain. And so I began forgiving the bullies. I forgave myself for what I created, for perceiving things as the way they were, and all of the attacking I had done. And I had a very big emotional release at that time. And so I could just feel like all these emotions, all this energy leave. It felt fantastic. I was just feeling really good. And then suddenly I just felt two presences of light because I had my eyes closed, and it was just suddenly I felt two presences of light. And this was just like, whoa, okay. This is new for me. I've never experienced anything like this during my meditation. And I just had the feeling to ask. It was just, who is this? And so I did. And the answer I got back was Archangel Michael and Archangel Ezekiel. And they said, we're two archangels, we're brothers, and we're here to let you know that what you've just done with your forgiveness is going to have some profound effects on you. And my mind immediately went to, I've never heard of Ezekiel, so this isn't real. And this is obviously fake. And then I got a reply back from Ezekiel who said, Google me. And so I did. And this is where I realized things were really happening because of the course, because I ended up Googling him and there wasn't much on him, but the one of the first things I found said Archangel Ezekiel, and it described him as Archangel Michael's lesser known brother, the angel of death and transformation. And I was just like, oh my God, it's actually this, wow, I just actually heard things. And so that really started to show me that something was really happening with the course as I was doing the lessons and reading through the text the full way this time. And so I just continued to do it. And all throughout 2020, I just became more open. And I actually then began to feel more presences, more spirit. And I actually opened up to channeling directly. So just through doing the course, I learned how to channel spirit. I let go of so many false images around myself. It actually is what really prompted me to begin my business and coaching, because when I first had that discovery that it was just like, I'm not my body and I didn't need to suffer with that identity anymore, a big part of me knew that it was just, I needed to share this with people. I needed to help people so that they don't suffer with the idea that they are the body image. They are this flesh and blood that they think they are. They're far more than that. I never knew how to do it though until I began actually seriously studying the course at this like end of 2019, going through 2020, and just opening up more to that guidance and that feeling and just the Holy Spirit's knowing of letting me know, okay, here's where to go, here's what to do, here's who to talk to, and just trusting each step along the way. And what started to happen was I just would end up speaking to the right people and having conversations, and then they would want help with just understanding that and getting their body into better shape. So it just all kind of spiraled into that, which then I ended up being able to leave a corporate job I really did not enjoy, and just met a ton of incredible people through the whole course, or like ACIM community. So just over the last year, just because of the course, I've met some of the most incredible people who are so down to earth, but totally open to all of this, and made better friends than I've had for a lot of my life. I started my own business. I've been healthier than ever. And even though I still have the ups and downs throughout this, as I'm continuing to just forgive, release aspects, the like misperceptions and all that kind of stuff, life has just dramatically improved because I went from working in corporate, doing stuff I really didn't like, feeling trapped, and now being able to do work when I want, where I want, help people with something I'm truly passionate about and love, and channeling and making incredible friends along the way. So it's just been the most incredible experience ever. And that is my story. So hopefully for anyone who hears this, I hope that you can take away from it that you're not your body, especially if you feel like in any way trapped with it, any way like you're tied to your physical image or health problems. It's just, you can make such profound and rapid improvements simply by changing your perspective on who you are and releasing a lot of it to the Holy Spirit, and just make it such a fun relationship of health being easy and fun and simple.
Wow, Kevin, what an inspirational story. Thank you for sharing with us. It truly is amazing. And we are really pleased that we were able to find you and have you on our series of people whose lives have been transformed by A Course in Miracles.
Thank you for having me.
So you can find Kevin on Facebook. He has a Facebook page for his business and also has a website, which is www.self-unleash.com, and we'll post a link to that with this interview. Any final words of wisdom for us?
I think just if you're starting the course, stick with it. It can get frustrating at times, but at the end of it all, you will be so happy you've done it, and just trust that you are more than meets the eye, and love yourself as much as you can.
Love that. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.